Ken Hill Coaching, and welcome to another crash and turn. This time with Laguna Turn 5. This came in on a request. I thought it was kind of interesting. I had a couple requests on Laguna Turn 5, and I have fallen down at Laguna Turn 5 multiple times. Ironically, out of the 3 times that I've fallen at Laguna Turn 5, all 3 have been mechanical. So kind of a bummer there, but it happens. So Laguna Turn 5. I also found it interesting that when I think about Laguna Turn 5 and how we train riders to approach Turn 5. I mean, yeah, it's really not that big of a deal. It's just a 90-degree corner, but it's the camber and the elevation that play into this. And so I actually reached out to a few professional riders that I've trained and asked them about Laguna Turn 5 because, I mean, honestly, it's fairly simple. So these are riders that have all crashed in 5, and I said, yeah, what sort of led to this? So that's what we're really going to dive in today, because it's really not that complicated a corner, but yet we see a lot of crashes there. So why are we seeing crashes there? And that is what we're going to dive into. So let's get it going. Okay, so Laguna Turn 5, yeah, these are just some Google Earth photos. Sorry, it looks like they're doing a little bit of construction there, which is awesome, right? Because we know that they're going to be doing repaving. So with Laguna Turn 5, what do we typically see in Laguna Turn 5, and what's happening? And the typical crash in Laguna Turn 5 is a little bit later. It's typically closer to the apex. So it's typically down in this area, right? Because we know, bikes are going to head off into this area. So yeah, sometimes we see them a little bit earlier. But yeah, I mean, again, it's not that big of a deal. Well, the two things that make it a big deal, as I sort of uncovered this, is one, yeah, it's uphill, right? So you've got to drive up the hill. That's one. And 2, we've got this camber. So it lulls you into a little bit of a false sense of security. And that's actually where I found out the problems lied. So here's where the problems lie: is riders that think, okay, I need to get back to the throttle early so I can get a really good drive up the hill. So the rider will come in, they'll try to get off the brake a little bit early. Maybe the bike has not finished changing direction all the way, right? So the bike hasn't finished rotated, doesn't quite have exit direction. And the rider will pick the throttle up too hard, too soon, and turn and lose the front. So that was one of the comments was, I felt like I needed to get a better drive there because of the uphill, and I knew the camber would help me. So that was one of the reasons why we see some issues here. Okay, so now what about tucking the front on the brakes? So it was almost the same issue, except it was with camber as well, where riders felt that the camber would save them. So they could come in, well, they're like, well, gosh, I can get in there a little bit deeper. I've got the camber to work with me, and I'm fine. So we're having riders that are using a lot of brake pressure down in here. And of course, it's a great passing opportunity. So maybe the rider's coming in, they're a little bit low, whatever it might be, and they're using a little bit too much brake force and tucking the front on the brakes. One of the few corners we actually see a lot of that, and where we're actually overloading the front end. So that one came down to the riders crashing on the brakes, was they felt that they could get in there deeper because the camber would save them. So I think there's the approach to this. So how to fix it is, it's no different than any other corner, which is understanding that the camber isn't necessarily going to save you. You're going to have a standard brake release. Yes, you can have a very good exit here. And it's one of the things we work on is how our throttle graph looks in this section here, because we can use a little bit of the camber, and we want to make sure we're getting a good drive. So, but what we really do is we really respect Turn 5, the slow point of Turn 5. The slow point is a tick longer than you think, so you can have that very deliberate direction to get to wide open throttle. So yeah, really not that difficult of a corner itself, the way the corner is laid out, but because of the camber, because of the uphill, it actually plays with you on the mental side. And that's, yeah, that's the answers that I heard. And I'm actually glad that we dove into it, because at first I was like, turn 5, it's really not that big of a deal unless you have mechanical issues. Ducati. Anyway, that's it for turn 5 at Laguna. Not that difficult, but be wary of what you're trying to accomplish. Be wary of camber, and be wary of trying to get too good of a drive and causing a problem there.